So probably the encounter that always rises to the surface, even though Monterey Bay is the kind of place that is just full of amazing encounters, happened about 6 years ago. And I think part of why it's so important is it was one of those things where everything came together and then amazing things took place. So I was at home that morning. I was working on my computer, doing whatever. And at that point in time, my cameras were always already packed and ready to go, and the clothes I needed to be on a boat were in my truck. And the phone rang. And it was Nancy Black, who was a captain whose boat I was going out on at the time, and she said, we've just been out, we found killer whales, and they're hunting, and I'm taking the passengers back, and then I'm going to turn around and take the boat back out again. Can you make it down here? Well, that was just barely enough time for me to get into my, grab my stuff, get in my truck, and drive all the way down to Monterey. But I said, yep, I'll be there. So I get to Monterey, get on the boat, and it's Nancy and another photographer, Daniel, and myself, and we're the crew. And we head out from Monterey, and we go back over towards Moss Landing, and there's another captain. At that point, there's no passengers. He's just got a couple of deckhands on his boat, and he's got the killer whales. So we get there, we found him, no problem. And it's a female and a couple of her offspring, and then there's maybe one or two males. This male fatfin who was orphaned, and he was adopted by this female whose name was known as CA-138. So we're trying to follow him, and they're fatfin's off over there, and CA-138's porpoising, and her kids are porpoising along, and we can't really tell what's going on, and we're trying to follow him. And the next thing somebody says, oh, she's got a harbor porpoise, right? And then she heads back towards the harbor, and she's only like 3 miles offshore. Beautiful day, sunny, water's calm. And as we turn around and we follow her, we see her, and she suddenly does this huge tail throw. Just the tail comes up, just woo, big splash like that, really powerful. And I'm standing up at the bow, and I'm clicking away on my camera, and momentarily, I'm not sure exactly what's going on at that point, but the next thing I see her sort of porpoise out of the water, and as I'm looking through the lens of my camera, I see this bowling pin flying through the air, and I go, and I say something, I'll give a paraphrase, I go, holy crap. And I'm just snapping away, holding the shutter down. She's out of the water. This little porpoise or dolphin flies through the air, lands on the water, and the next thing I know is she's come over to her offspring. And at that point, I'm so intent on photographing that I don't really see exactly what's going on. And it's not till later when I go through my images that I am astonished for a couple of reasons. One of which is I got it all, and I got it in focus, and the other photographer did not. And so I had a series of photos that nobody else had. And in looking at the timestamp on my images, you could see this turned out to be actually a common dolphin flipping through the air, been batted by CA-138 as she came up. She just like, boom, hit it through the air, and it does a 180 and then lands on the water, and the next thing is her two offspring come over, and you can see she comes over to check it out, and you can see the blood at the mouth of one of her kids. So basically what's happened is a training exercise where she has, they've helped her, or at least followed her in the hunt. She's managed to catch the dolphin, and if I look closely on the large files of my photo, I can see the tooth marks. So she's had this dolphin, they're right on the back. She's had it in her mouth. She could have just bitten down and that would have been it. But no, she grabs it, or I'm not sure which comes first, she takes her fluke, she bats it to stun it, and then she takes her head and does this porpoise, and she throws it through the air so that it's completely stunned, so that it can't get away. And at that point her kids come in and they make the kill. So not only was it photographically really exciting for me, but it was it was a natural experience of hunting and teaching, and the whole thing was so incredibly exciting to me. And so I was absolutely ecstatic. And then, you know, it got picked up by a Brazilian magazine, you know, the top national Brazilian magazine. They ran with the photos. And actually, I think it probably started with a woman I knew who had been writing for our local paper, started doing writing for a national publication, and she ran with those photos. And then I, working with both Nancy Black and Elisa Schulman-Janiger, who knew the history of this particular female, I was able to write up the experience, and with the with Carl Safina's assistance, I prepared the story, illustrated the story, and he ran it on his National Geographic blog. So it was just an overall experience for me that was just absolutely incredible. I still think about them every time. CA-138 is my favorite killer whale, and I can actually recognize her, which I'm not all that good at recognizing them. But it was pretty exciting, and it really helped give me a name in the marine photography world. So.